Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Bethanne, and today I wanted to post just kind of a teaser video because for Nonfiction November, for my pick for the prompt Buzz, I'm reading Buzz by Thor Hanson, The Nature and Necessity of Bees. So this is a great kind of popular science overview of particularly the diversity of all of the bees we have in the world that aren't honeybees. The honeybees do pop up. They're a useful comparison. They've gotten a lot of research attention. But this book focuses on everything else happening in the bee world, and I'm absolutely loving it. For those who haven't watched any of my previous videos, I am a researcher who studies native wild bees. So this is a topic that's dear to my heart. And I just got excited because I was like, oh, I have some relevant things that I can show in a video. So this is not in any way a science communication video or anything. It's just me kind of throwing a few things together that I was just kind of excited about. So the first thing that I'm going to show is kind of a stop action thing. It's really, I used to have a DSLR and I hadn't worked out how to actually take macro videos, but I did have some semi-decent photos of a bumblebee on a flower that were taken with rapid shot. And so you can kind of get a feel for how quickly the bumblebee moves around the flower. So we'll see that first. So I don't even know what species of flower this is or what species of bumblebee this is, but I was just kind of enamored with this particular little gal. She was at one of my field sites in Idaho in the Salmon River Valley. For my next trick, let's take a second on this photo and play the game of Spot the Bee. So imagine Jeopardy music playing, R.I.P. Alex Trebek. All right, does anybody think they know where it is? Let's move on to the next photo. There it is, smack dab in the middle. So congratulations if you saw this bee. This is a female solitary bee, and I'm not sure what species this one is either. It's in the genus Anthophora or the genus Eucera. And she was taking a break on the ground. And what I'm going to show next is another kind of stop action thing, but I'm going to give you a little bit longer on each photo because with this one I wasn't as good at holding the camera steady, so I didn't want to make anybody motion sick, but you'll be able to see the bee kind of moving around, and what she's doing is she's grooming herself to collect loose pollen from all over her body and pack it down onto her hind legs, where she has specialized branched hairs growing very densely in a formation that we call the scopa. So she has one on each hind leg. Looks kind of like a bottle brush, and she's going to pack all of her pollen into those dense branched hairs. There'll be a couple shots in this next segment where you'll actually see one of those hind legs kind of pop up, and in this particular bee, even though she's a pretty dark bee overall, you'll see these really thick, dense, white, brushy looking hair on that hind leg. So that's something to look for in the next segment. All right, now I'm in my lab showing just some of the bee specimens that I've been pinning recently. They are in these temporary boxes prior to getting put into formal collection drawers. You can see I broke somebody there, an abdomen fell off. Got a couple things where the labels have incomplete information, so I had to keep the handwritten label from the field in there with the bees. Got some cool bees in here. It's too bad their colors aren't showing up super well. You can see up in the upper left corner we've got some with green heads and thoraxes, stripy abdomens. Let's see if I can show them in a little bit better light. And of course my phone's a little crappy, but there's this bee. This is the genus Agapostemon. And And this is a boy. You can tell he's got longer antennae. They're kind of swept back from his head right now. They're longer, and his legs look pretty skinny because he doesn't have the big scopa, the pollen-carrying hairs. We've got a good example of a bee with prominent scopa over here. This is Melissodes bimaculatus. Let's see if I can get her in focus. She's a pretty black bee. Come on, phone, figure it out. Figure it out. There we go. So she's a pretty black bee. You see that big old whitish silver stocking on her hind legs. So those are her scopa, one on each side, those fuzzy hind legs. This bee has two little white tail lights there on the end of her abdomen. That's distinctive for this species. So she's really pretty. She doesn't really have any pollen on her scopa. That's the actual color of her hairs, that nice whitish, there we go, look at that shine, whitish silver color. Got a nice bee over here with some pollen in her scopa. So let's just show her off for a second. There she is. Look at all that pollen. She was a busy lady. Feel bad for killing her, but science. There, she's cool. And then let's see, we've got a bumblebee, just for a classic look at a chunky girl. There. This is Bombus impatiens. You can see the pollen looks a little bit different on her. So she has corbicula, which are flattened patches on her hind legs, kind of a scooped out basket. So she'll actually pack her pollen into those baskets. Honeybees do the same thing. Whoa. Oops. So she's pretty. There she is, nice and fuzzy. So these are some of my current bees. Let's see, are there any other interesting ones? Here's a cool one. This is a parasitic bee, kleptoparasite. I say actually, yeah, it's a kleptoparasite, but let's see if I can get it in focus. This one's going to look a little bit more like a wasp. There. This is in the genus Tripiolus. Just kind of sneaky looking. Very stripy. So a lot of people would see her. Well, actually, I don't even know what gender it is, because none of the parasitic bees collect pollen. They sneak into other bees' nests and lay their eggs like little ninjas so that the other bees provision their young. And here we just have one of the intermediary steps. So when we collect bees in the field, we collect them into little vials like that, or depending on the collection method, we'll put them in these little baggies called whirl packs, and then they get pinned in this step with temporary label, and then eventually they get put in an actual collection. So let's see, we can look at some of my bees. So here they are in their little unit trays with their official permanent labels, which have barcodes on them, so that you can, if you need to scan a whole bunch of them, you can do that and get the information from the label. These aren't going to show up well through the glass. And I want to keep this video short anyway. Oh, look, you can see all those have so much pollen. They were so busy. These are, where's the, Andrena helianthiformis. The solitary bee. They're pretty large for solitary bees. These are about the size of a honeybee. All right, so that was a little bit of a disjointed look into some of my personal bees that I was just very excited to share. And I will try to, I'll include some links down below to some people who do this sort of thing way better than I do, who have way actually have good videography skills and much better photographs. So I'll link to some other web pages, and I should be able to find some YouTube videos of people that actually do outreach about bees on this platform if you want to take a look. But like I said, just wanted to show off some of my own personal bees. So that's my little teaser, and I'll be back again in a few days to actually talk a little bit more about the book Buzz by Thor Hanson, because I am not quite halfway through it right now, but I need to finish this up because it's one of my Nonfiction November picks. So thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about bees, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them. You might have noticed in the video several times, I'm not good at identifying bees. Actually, I can do it to genus in a lot of cases, and I can do bumblebees of the Midwest and the Eastern US to species in a lot of cases as well. But just to throw that out there, if anybody's curious, there are over 4,000 native bee species in the United States, and people will get PhDs just in identifying those bees and then spend their entire career doing that. So that's not the sort of degree I have. My degree is in ecology, so actually studying the relationship between bees and the plants that they forage on. So just to go ahead and throw that out there, I will not be able to identify bees for you, but I'm happy to answer other questions about bees if anybody has them. So if you like this video, if you want to hear more about what I think about books, which is what I will normally be posting about, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, like I said, leave a comment if you have a question or an opinion about my video. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.